Alright, hello everyone. My name is Rowboat. Today I'm going to show you a little bit of my workflow, how I go about designing my levels and my environments for my indie game Epondium. Full disclosure, this is not professional work. This is amateur by industry standards. But I'm one guy making a game, and I'm just trying to make something fun, make something interesting, make a game that I want to play. And so far, this is a game that I absolutely would want to play if somebody were not making it. So I design rooms very freeform. And basically, what that means is I just put stuff all willy nilly. I abstract a space as much as possible, and then I go through and test it and make sure the layout is good. And then I go through and add decorations. I add lights, and I really pretty up a space that's normally very bare bones. You see, this is a kind of a finished room. It's not finished. I still haven't added all of my gameplay stuff in it yet, but this is generally how it's going to look. And most of the time I start from very bare rooms like this, or of course I place down some presets, some of my building pieces, and I just move them around in whatever way I choose. Now you see down here I have all of my my building pieces. So say in this room, these walkways, I want them to have some kind of like support structure underneath of them. So I'll take one of these pillars, I'll line it up correctly, and I'll move it down to basically where I want it to be. Now, of course, I'll stack them on top of each other if it's too tall or if it's too short. I'll really work to get that proper level of detail in there. And sometimes, the prefabs don't line up exactly how I want them to, so I'll have to go through and make some arrangements, things like this. Or, there's like a little gap here, and I'll add like a piece like this. Make sure it lines up just right. I'll copy and paste it. I'll move it around. Maybe I don't want it there. Maybe I want it here. Have two supports there. Move that along. Click and drag. Move that over here. I think that looks fine. Now, sometimes there's a little dead space right there. No problem at all. This is a spot where I can add like a lamp post here or something like that, just to mask that little gap there. And this will light up the room, of course. But yeah, that's really basically what I do. I go through, I add all of these different pieces from down here, and I just arrange them in whatever order I'd like. I'd scale them down, I'd change the textures a little bit, the picture that is applied to each surface. And of course, it might look a little repetitive. It might, this texture is the same as this texture, but really the point is every room being laid out in a unique way and having its own shape and distinct identity. And part of that is just decoration. Like this room. It's very loud for me. I don't know how loud it is. I might turn down the volume actually. But most people won't really notice or care because they'll be busy shooting the monsters, they'll be busy walking around, exploring, looking for all the different items and stuff. The trouble is that when they come back to areas like this, you know, they might start to blend together a little bit. Like, hey, was I in this room or was it that room that I wanted to go to? But that's okay because players will have a map screen and they'll be able to check where they are. They'll have a mini map up in the top left there. I haven't added that yet since I'm waiting for the game to actually have its sort of finished environment before I go in and make a fully detailed map screen. But yeah, you can move around these rooms. Maybe there's like some time platforms. So yeah, you design a room, you go through, you make it look however you like, and you add your presets and your prefabs to make it look how you want it to. So I'm going to work a little bit here. I'm going to finish up the layout for this room, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to start lighting and adding in supplementary decorations to make the room look more interesting. So let's get started. There's this open space right here in this square that I want to add something in. I'm actually going to group these together. And I'm going to spawn. I cannot do that. I'm going to put in a big pillar right here in the middle. Now let's make sure that lines up correctly. Make sure it's centered. And then since there's still this gap right here, I'm going to add, I want something like this in the middle here. And then make sure that's properly centered. Scale that down a little bit to make it fit. There we go. Now let's add some spinning machinery in here. Let's actually make sure that's centered. Change the rotation of the spinning mechanism. Cool. Now what if I want something, you know, kind of in the middle here to make it seem like it's generating some kind of energy? Well, let's take this piece, paste that there. scale it a bit thinner. I forgot to move my player spawn back in there, so I have to walk back through this hallway. Yeah. Okay. Now, actually, I want... No, that's a good spot. Let's fatten this piece up. Make sure it's centered. All right. Now, I feel like these catwalks here, they need some kind of railing around them, because, you know, you don't want your workers to fall off the edge or anything like that. I actually don't have the railing presets that I want to use for this area yet, which is a bit of a problem, actually. I don't know why I didn't design any. I feel pretty stupid for that. Oh well, we can always go in and add them later. I'm going to delete that light there. Move that right underneath. Cool. One, two, three, four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. Take that player start and move it over. And and take a look at it. These aren't touching the floor. Why are these not touching the floor? You know what? I'm going to take a shortcut and I'm just going to move the floor up. Instead of messing with those things and trying to move every piece. Yeah, that'll do nicely. I actually want I'm going to group this together. And then that, move it up here. Okay, let's add some big crates. some big steel coils. Now actually, let's see here. I want this wall to open up and connect to a different room. So I'm going to remove that. I'll put some support beams here. Ledge right here. Usually I'd be listening to music or something like that to break up the empty space. But yeah. Whoa. Whoa. That's not good. That's really not good. Why are all these pieces outside? Alright, that's not good. I feel very silly. Putting all these in the wrong level. That would have been a big mess had I not catch that earlier. There we go. Alright. Now they vanish when you leave this bounding box. This box. Every level, every room is covered by a box. And whenever you enter this box, it loads whatever you want that's connected to it. So this level is this box is connected to the battery production level. And all of these pieces are inside of the battery production level. So if I hide that, there's nothing there. So this allows me to basically separate all of my levels and unload them and load them in as I need. Because if you had, if you're running the game and all of these rooms were loaded at once, this is not that many rooms so far. But if you had this room, this room, this room, this room, and all of them open at once, that would be very taxing on the computer to keep all of that in memory. So this is just a very easy way for me to compress that this level memory into smaller chunks and load them in one piece at a time. And it's much more optimized that way. And of course, to prevent performance issues like stuttering during normal gameplay, you just separate larger rooms by these corridors, like these small hallways and stuff. So you go through one big room, you go through a corridor, you unload that room. There might be a little skip, and then you enter this new room, and that skipping is the new room loading in. But you don't want that to happen. Say if I bunched all of these big rooms together without the connecting hallways, you enter you enter a little box right here, and it loads in this big room, and that would cause slowdown, and I don't want that. I want people to run this game on a potato. That's why it looks like garbage too. That's why everything is so low res. Yeah. And that's why you see the repeating tiles and all that stuff. But, you know, all in the name of better optimization, more game, less super realistic movie quality graphics. Anyways, I'm going to end this video right here. If you enjoyed watching me, you know, build a little bit of these levels and flying around and doing all that stuff. This is basically how it's done. Rooms take hours to build. Uh, you know, sometimes I'll spend a whole day working on one or two rooms, and you know, that's like 5 minutes a game, so it's very time consuming, but it is rewarding. It's rewarding to see your art coming together, and this is the highlight of my life for me. So anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic night, and peace out.